Ever wondered how a relatively small group of people from Scandinavia managed to terrorize half of Europe for centuries? The answer isn't just their fearsome reputation. It's the incredible piece of technology that carried them across the waves. The Viking Longship. These weren't just boats. They were the keys to an empire. Masterpieces of engineering that allowed the Vikings to strike with unprecedented speed and surprise. Today, we're diving deep into the world of Viking longships to uncover how these vessels gave them the ultimate edge in speed, power, and domination. Get ready to explore the secrets behind one of history's most iconic ships. So, what made the longship so special? It all starts with its unique design. Picture a long, narrow, and shallow hull. This wasn't an accident. It was a deliberate and brilliant piece of naval architecture. The length-to-beam ratio is often as high as 7:1, meaning the ship was 7 times longer than it was wide. This sleek, almost serpent-like profile allowed it to slice through the water with minimal resistance, achieving speeds that were simply unheard of for its time. Think of it like a modern racing shell, but built for raiding and exploration 1,000 years ago. The construction method, known as clinker building, was another stroke of genius. Instead of placing planks edge to edge, the Vikings overlapped them. Much like shingles on a roof, these overlapping planks, or strakes, were fastened together with iron rivets. This technique created a hull that was incredibly strong yet surprisingly flexible. It could bend and twist with the motion of the waves, absorbing the immense stress of the open ocean without breaking apart. This flexibility was crucial for surviving the notoriously rough North Atlantic. It was a ship that didn't fight the sea. It danced with it. One of the most revolutionary features was its shallow draft. This means the bottom of the ship sat very high in the water, often needing less than a meter of depth to float. This single feature gave the Vikings a massive strategic advantage. While other navies were confined to deep coastal waters and established ports, the Vikings could go anywhere. They could sail right up rivers, deep into the heart of enemy territory, appearing as if from nowhere. They could beach their ships on almost any sandy shore, allowing them to launch surprise attacks far from fortified harbors. Imagine the terror of a farmer in inland France or England, seeing the dragon-headed prow of a longship suddenly appear on their local river. There was no warning, no time to prepare. The longship turned every river into a highway for invasion. Now, let's talk about power. The longship was a hybrid, a perfect blend of 2 power sources, sail and oar. In the open sea, a single, large square sail made of wool or linen would be hoisted. This sail was remarkably effective at catching the wind, allowing the Vikings to cover vast distances with relative ease. A well-maintained longship under full sail could reach speeds of 10 to 15 knots, or around 20 kilometers per hour. This was faster than any other ship of the era, enabling them to outrun patrols and choose their battles. They could cross the North Sea from Norway to England in just a few days. But what happened when the wind died down, or when they needed to navigate tricky rivers and estuaries? That's when human power took over. Along the sides of the ship were oarports, 1 for each rower. A typical longship, like the famous Gokstad ship, had 32 oars. That's 32 powerful Vikings pulling in unison, turning the ship into a highly maneuverable, self-propelled weapon. This dual-power system meant they were never at the mercy of the weather. No wind, no problem. They could row, need to make a quick turn to avoid a sandbar, or launch a flanking attack. The oars provided incredible precision and a burst of speed exactly when needed. This versatility was unmatched. The design was also incredibly efficient. The keel, a long timber beam running along the bottom of the hull, provided stability and acted as the ship's backbone. Everything was built around it. The ribs and crossbeams provided internal support without adding excessive weight. The Vikings were masters of using the natural strength and shape of wood, often sourcing curved timbers from trees that already had the desired shape, reducing the need to weaken the wood by carving it. This made the ships both light and robust, a difficult balance to achieve. They were light enough to be carried overland, a process known as a portage. If a river was blocked or they needed to move between 2 different river systems, the crew could simply haul their ship over land. This is how Viking raiders managed to get their ships all the way to the Mediterranean and even the Caspian Sea. It was an all-terrain assault vehicle. Let's look at the different types of longships, because they weren't all the same. The term longship is actually a broad category. At the smaller end, you had the cavy, a versatile ship for about 32 trained men, used for fishing, trade, and coastal raiding. The famous coasted ship is a prime example of a carvy. Then you had the sneakia, or snake ship, which was the workhorse of the Viking fleets. These were true warships, carting around 40 warriors and designed for speed and agility. They formed the bulk of the raiding parties that struck fear across Europe. At the very top end were the massive drakkar, or dragon ships. These were the flagships, the symbols of a king or a powerful chieftain's wealth and authority. They were larger, more heavily decorated, and carried more men, sometimes up to 80 or even 100 warriors. Their prows were often carved into the terrifying shapes of dragons or other mythical beasts. These carvings weren't just for decoration. They were a form of psychological warfare, designed to intimidate enemies and ward off evil spirits. Imagine a fleet of these appearing on the horizon, dragon heads glinting in the sun, shields lining the gun. It was a sight meant to break the spirit of any defender before the battle even began. The longship wasn't just a vehicle for war. It was the center of Viking society and identity. These ships carried explorers to new lands like Iceland, Greenland, and even North America, 500 years before Columbus. They were trade vessels that connected Scandinavia to a global network stretching from Constantinople to the British Isles. The wealth that flowed back, spices, silver, and slaves transformed Scandinavian society. Building and maintaining these ships required immense skill and resources. It fostered communities of shipwrights, blacksmiths, sailmakers, and rope makers. A man's status was often tied to his place on the rowing bench of a great chieftain's ship. When a powerful Viking died, their ship often became their tomb. The famous Oseberg ship burial is a stunning example. A powerful woman, possibly a queen or a priestess, was laid to rest in a beautifully decorated ship, surrounded by treasures, tools, and sacrificed animals. This shows how deeply intertwined the ship was with life, death, and the afterlife. The ship that carried you through life was believed to be the same vessel that would carry your spirit to the next world. So, how did the age of the longship end? As the Viking Age drew to a close around the 11th century, the nature of warfare and trade began to change. Kingdoms became more centralized, with stronger coastal defenses and organized navies. The hit-and-run tactics of the Vikings became less effective. In trade, new ship designs like the cog, which were slower and less elegant but could carry much more cargo, began to dominate the commercial routes of northern Europe. The longship, a specialized tool for raiding and exploration, was gradually superseded by vessels built for different purposes. But the legacy of the longship is undeniable. It was the single most important piece of technology in the Viking world. It was a marvel of engineering, combining speed, flexibility, and versatility in a way that no other vessel could match. It allowed the Vikings to project their power across vast distances, to explore unknown oceans, and to build a trading network that spanned the known world. It was a weapon, a home, a status symbol, and a tomb. The longship didn't just carry the Vikings, it made them who they were. It is the dragon-headed symbol of an age of adventure, conquest, and unparalleled maritime skill. Thanks so much for watching. What part of the longship's design do you find most impressive? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this journey back to the Age of Vikings, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next historical deep dive. See you in the next video.